a dog. And I see someone. I think I see someone.
Captain William J. B.J. Blazkowicz returns as protagonist for Wolfenstein: The New Order. It begins in 1946 as Blazko and a squad of US soldiers attempt to infiltrate the headquarters of General Death's Head. Fighting alongside British pilot Fergus Reid and a greenhorn named Wyatt, Blazko succeeds in getting shot down and captured, and is then forced to make a sadistic choice before getting blown up and almost lobotomized. The main events of the New Order take place 14 years later when Blazko wakes up in an asylum and rescues his carer Anya from the Nazis, who he soon realizes won the war and now control the entire world. What follows is a desperate fight to the death against the victorious war machine led by Blazko, Anya, and a surprising face from the series' past. Quite unexpectedly, the story is actually pretty good. The writing is a tad macho and a little bit ooh-rah at times, but the script is above average and the voice work is always believable. A slightly out-of-place sex scene and the sight of a cruel Nazi general dangling a crying baby by its ankle feel like steps too far in the wrong direction. But most of the time the brutal comedy has an Inglourious Bastards vibe that carries the New Order through. And the story is fairly hefty for a shooter, weighing in at 12 to 15 hours depending on difficulty and brimming with collectibles. It's also replayable, as the aforementioned choice in the prologue decides which timeline you're on, affecting Blazko's skills, available routes through missions, certain characters and events, and the ending. It's a good thing MachineGames paid so much attention to the solo game, as the New Order features no multiplayer whatsoever. Relatively rare in an FPS these days, it's actually quite refreshing to get such value and playability out of a campaign shooter. The gameplay itself is also solid, but it's worth getting the major gripe out of the way first: the AI. The New Order is very hit and miss when it comes to enemy behaviour. Minute to minute it's perfectly competent as enemies use cover, flank you and gang up to take you down. If you're seen by a commander, they will continuously radio for backup until you kill them, meaning you need to take them out first, but the grunts make no effort to keep these tactically vital pieces alive. They even exhibit the same behaviour as their subordinates. On the odd occasion, enemies will get stuck on walls or run out of cover for no reason. One level, set inside a prison, features melee-only enemies who will attack you one at a time very slowly while you stick them with your combat knife. Strangely though, it's not game-breaking. The New Order remembers its roots, and the bombastic, almost old-school shooting is so full of noise and flame moments that occasional AI blunders go almost unnoticed as you launch a one-man, dual-wielding assault on the entire Third Reich. And what an assault it is! Mr. Blazkowicz is a borderline psychopath whose murderous rampages are only excused because he's killing Nazis, and Nazis deserve what they get. The alternate 1960s setting means that the New Order never gets boring, sharing similarities with underappreciated last-gen blaster Singularity. New guns are introduced regularly, a favourite being the laser Kraftwerk rifle that doubles as a plasma cutter to carve your way through certain fences and alloy walls. Guns have a satisfying impact as you leave your enemies as quivering piles of gooey appendages, though melee combat is less considered. A cool perk system rewards you passively as you play certain ways, unlocking upgrades based on assault, stealth, demolition and tactics. Visually, the New Order sings on PS4. Cutscenes are stunning while the environments are beautifully grim throughout. The surroundings are highly detailed and it skitters along at a rate of knots, suffering no slowdown or bothersome texture pop-in. Calling the New Order big, dumb fun sounds a little condescending, but it fits a game that follows the Michael Bay formula of mixing explosions with explosions and filling in the cracks with reliable but cliched story beats and fast dialogue, which, in a quasi-sci-fi shooter like this, is absolutely appropriate. The lack of an online mode will harm sales, but the 30 plus hours it will take you to see and find everything, along with the unlockable extra modes, does make up for it somewhat. Though it falls foul to the old FPS bane of occasionally stupid AI, Wolfenstein delivers a story-driven campaign experience that manages to be less po-faced than Shadowfall and more consistently enjoyable than either Ghosts or Battlefield 4. Killing Nazis never looked or felt so good, and let's face it, what else really matters?